Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Tony Harvin, and welcome to the Tony Harvin Network YouTube channel. If you like, hit that subscribe button listed right here. After you hit the subscribe button, if you want to receive all notifications of videos that come out on this YouTube channel, hit the notification bell and select all after you hit the notification bell. Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Tony Harvin, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Tony Harvin Network. I greet everybody upon this evening as I bring, you all a story, from recently of a so-called pastor, another so-called pastor who was arrested, Stephen McCurtis. Stephen McCurtis, 68 years of age. Another one out here who claims to be a pastor and whatnot. He was arrested and he was charged with stemming from allegations he inappropriately touched and kissed a 12-year-old girl while giving her a driving lesson. So this is out of Bakersville, California. The so-called preacher, the so-called pastor. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. Nicole Martin, he says, appreciate that, appreciate that for sure. So the so-called pastor, he was giving this 12-year-old a driving lesson. It's almost like you can't be comfortable with people, not even if they call themselves a pastor. You know what I mean? That he was kissing and decided to kiss and touch on this 12-year-old girl. This platform is basically about exposing these so-called preachers out here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not here to violate any type of community guidelines and stuff like that. We're just here for educational purposes and valuable purposes to teach the people and inform the people that there are predators out there, even in the pulpit, more so in the pulpit. What up, Carla Petty? What up? So he gave this 12-year-old girl, female, whatever the case may be, some driving lessons and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna share the screen right here about this situation. Just give me a minute. All right, let me know if y'all can see that screen up there. Let me know. All right. So this is out of Bakersville, California. All right. This so-called preacher, they said he's a pastor of Maricopa Community Church, has been charged with a felony stemming from allegations he inappropriately touched and kissed a 12-year-old girl while giving her a driving lesson. A felony. That's serious right there. Good for him. He deserved that. Of course he deserved more and things like that. They said Stephen McCurtis, 68 years of age. Now he admitted kissing the girl on the mouth, according to the sheriff reports filed in the Superior Court. He said the girl pursued him and told him she loved him, the report says. Now listen. As a 68-year-old man, you know what I'm saying, a grandfather, in some cases, a great-grandfather, you know what I mean? If anything, you're here for a job to do, which is to teach the young girl her driving lessons and whatnot. Now, if she came off and state that she loved him, obviously it was something else going on before then. You know what I'm saying? The parents, where was these parents? Why would you feel comfortable in a case like this? You know what I'm saying? Why would you feel comfortable to allow your 12-year-old girl, daughter, niece, or whatever, to have driving lessons with a 68-year-old grown man? You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I would never, you know what I'm saying, recommend that ever. You know what I mean? So if he's 68 years of age, right? Let's just say the 12-year-old did say that. You got to put that 12-year-old in check. You know what I'm saying? You have to put that 12-year-old in check. We know, when we was back in school and whatnot, come on, some of us had crushes on some teachers out there. You know what I mean? Back in 5th grade, good looking teacher, female teacher, and whatnot. Like, wow, you understand? So if a fifth grader, a 12-year-old comes on to you or whatever, teacher, so-called preacher, or whatever the case may be, you got to put them kids in check at the end of the day. You understand? Don't flatter yourself over a 10-year-old. Don't flatter yourself over a 11-year-old or 12-year-old. You know what I'm saying? What in your right mind do you have any type of interest in somebody of that age? You know what I'm saying? 12 years of age. All right. Nicole Martin says, I'm doing good. Just tripping off these crazy people with bothering kids. Absolutely. Marva says, just take his hand off. Wow. Back to the story at hand. All right. So the so-called pastor stated that I'm not the pursuer. McCurtis told investigators. That's important. I need you to write that down. I was pursued. Now, he stated that basically he's the victim. You know what I'm saying? So listen, Mr. 68-year-old grown man, grandfather, father, you know what I'm saying, a leader at some church, a so-called leader at some church. All right, how you let a 12-year-old girl persuade you to giving her kissing and stuff like that, and then you touched her. You understand that? So you let a 12-year-old, if him or his family is listening or happen to catch this video sometime, whenever, how do you let a 12-year-old, you understand, persuade you? How you will let a 12-year-old girl, you know what I mean, influence you to touch her and to kiss her? You being a 68-year-old so-called pastor, whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? It was your job as a grown man, as a so-called leader, to put this kid in check, for sure. Now, the sad thing is, you know what I mean, it might not even be his first time even doing it. Because how do you feel comfortable as a 68-year-old man? Now, if you stated that you was pursued, then why you didn't tell the girl's parents? Why you didn't call the local authorities? You know what I'm saying? Why didn't you take out some recording device? You know what I'm saying? For you to have as evidence and proof that this happened, that you at least try to stop it and stuff like that. You know what I mean? All right. Furthermore to the story, it says McCurtis talked about the damage that would bring not only to the church but to the city. Listen, the city ain't got nothing to do with it. It has something to do with you as a so-called leader. All right. It says, well, I know this will mess up the church. I'm just saying. Now, this is McCurtis giving a statement. He says, I'm just saying, if this goes any further, period, it will hurt a lot of people. Not just me, my family, my wife, everybody that goes here. The whole city will be devastated, McCurtis said. According to the documents, I will be devastated. McCurtis has pleaded not guilty to lewd or lascivious acts with a child under 14 and has a hearing scheduled next week. So now he stated that it will hurt a lot of the people, his wife, his family, the church, and so on. Right? Listen, you do the crime, you gotta man up and do that time. That's something you admitted to, Stephen McCurtis. You admitted to doing that. So don't sit here and state that it will hurt the church. It will hurt the city. It will hurt your wife. You did that. You understand? You made that decision to touch and kiss on that 12-year-old girl. You did that. You understand? Peter Cooper says, what up, bro? What's going on with these guys? I see the whole world is going crazy. We are really in the end times. Absolutely. Absolutely, for sure. And you got more and more so-called preachers out here. Like I stated before, you got more so-called preachers out here that's doing this stuff. You know what I mean? And it's being swept underneath the rug. Now, we're going to take a look at their church's website right quick. We're going to take a look at their church's website, and we're going to check it out. So he's a so-called preacher. at this church right here, Maricopa Community Church Leadership, where you can see his name. It says Senior Pastor Stephen G. McCurtis. They say he has been married to his wife. He's been married to his wife since 1988. I was 4 years of age. Now, you will put all that on the line just to touch and kiss on a 12-year-old girl? You did that. You understand? You probably got a beautiful wife, probably treated you right. You know what I mean? Cook dinner every night, rub your stinking feet, and whatever the case may be. And you gave all that up, you know what I'm saying, for a 12-year-old girl. You know, you did that. Of course, you can repent and stuff like that. But the prosecutors, 10 times out of 10, they ain't holy or nothing like that. So they gonna can you. You know what I'm saying? They looking to throw you into their lake of fire, which is prison, and make money off of you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a crime that you did. You know what I mean? You're not even supposed to even have a crumb of thought like that. You know what I'm saying? As a so-called leader, let alone a so-called pastor. When you're in the pulpit, that's something serious right there. That's something I don't play with. You know what I mean? I don't come on YouTube or Facebook stating I'm a minister or nothing like that. You know what I mean? I've been doing that since the beginning. Don't call me a preacher, a minister, nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? I just like to have truthful and real conversations. You know what I mean? Just in general. You says in 1988 you was 1 year of age. All right. So that's something you did, McCurtis, if you happen to hear this YouTube video, So they stated that they have 2 children, Sarah and Matthew. All right. They say he's been ordained, right? This is what they state, that he's been ordained for 35 years. 35 years he was a so-called pastor at that church or whatever the case may be. So 35 years, right? I'm pretty sure you read the scriptures and whatnot. So you had 35 years of that. You know what I mean? What detoured you that you would have a itch to even touch on, or even let alone think about touching a 12-year-old girl? Because it's not only physical, it's mental. You understand that? If you felt as though that you was the victim and whatnot, then why you didn't get out the car? Why you didn't stop the car? Why you didn't call the girl's parents and whatnot? You know what I'm saying? And notify them. Just get out the car. You know what I mean? You stood there. You sat in the car. You was touching her. You know what I mean? You didn't pull away. Now, let's just say if a girl or anybody happened to kiss a person that you feel uncomfortable with, or in general, listen, back away. Get some format of documentation that you was the victim. Did you do anything to stop it? Did you do anything to prevent it? Did you stop the car to get out and whatnot? No. You understand? So therefore, I'm pretty sure that judge, the prosecutors is going to give you some type of time for that. You know what I'm saying? Because you admitted to it at the end of the day. All right, you said they ordained a devil. That's funny. He said they ordained a devil. So we're scrolling down. That's him, in front of, I believe it could be his motorcycle. It looks old school. So that's him right there. What up, Terry Ann? He says, jail is too easy for those type of people. We need Roman law. Nicole Martin says touching kids was something in him the whole time. And you know what? I believe that in a lot of those creeps, they have that already in them. Probably even before they get ordained as a so-called pastor. They like to take on those type of leadership roles, those type of pastoral roles, teacher roles, and stuff like that, because they know that they can gain the comfortability, you know what I mean, of a lot of kids, of a lot of parents, you know what I mean, and parents, some parents who are very vulnerable and stupid will allow, you know what I mean, their kids to be around that person. You know what I'm saying? And they will actually gain some type of trust. Like I said the other day, I believe it was on my other YouTube channel, I don't trust nobody. around my kids. Nobody, except for their grandmother and their great grandmother and my sisters and their aunt. That's about it. You understand that? I don't trust no other man. I don't care if it's my father. I don't care if it's my grandfather, great grandfather. I just don't trust them. You understand that? I just don't. You know what I mean? No cousins. You know what I'm saying? No nephews at all. You know what I mean? And if they are around my nephews and stuff like that, listen, I got to keep a close watch because I don't trust nobody. You know what I mean? Around my kids. You know what I'm saying? All right. So we're gonna go more to their website or whatever. Ain't really too much on here, you know, seeing what they believe and whatnot. It stated that we believe the Bible is the word fully inspired and written under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit and is our rule of faith and our practice. So this is what they believe. You know, they reading out the King James Version. So if you believe that, then what possessed you to do that? What possessed you to do that? Now, you're Bible believers, okay? I mean, reading out of a different version, the New King James Version. But if you're a Bible believer, what influenced you besides the devil himself? You understand that? I mean, that's a big blow. That's a huge blow. You know, time and time again. And you know, the people is going to look at this story, this news article, whether it's on this channel, whether it's on other channels. You understand that? Whether it's in the news and whatnot, and they're going to direct this action. They're going to direct these actions on everybody who profess to be Christians. On everybody. You understand that? And it's on people like me and others to clean up mess. Like, listen, we don't roll with that type of stuff. You know what I mean? We don't roll with people like that. You know what I'm saying? Because if that person was really striving for Christ, he wouldn't even have a thought, an inch of a thought, a crumb of a thought, you know what I mean, to want to touch on a kid, period. The only person he should want to touch on and think about is his spouse, his wife, since 1988. You understand? But some of these creeps out here, not some, but all, they just have some type of sick fantasy, sick mission to touch on kids. I don't know why. I don't understand. You got a good wife at home. You know, y'all been married since 1988, and then you want to go out there to mess it up with a kid at that. With a kid. Nicole Martin says, I don't trust no one around my son either. Absolutely. Absolutely, because you don't know the agendas of people out here, even family members. You know what I mean? It's sad to say. It's real sad to say that you can't even trust your own family. You know what I mean? Some people out here, you know, they wait till they get to in their 30s, their 40s to really say their testimony that a family member has done something to them sexually. You know? And by that time, they're traumatized. You know what I'm saying? But if they would have said something earlier, they could have saved others' lives or other people from being, you know what I'm saying, inappropriately touched and things of that nature. You know, so by the time that person gets older, the pedophile already have touched many kids and still getting away with it. You know what I mean? So it's a good thing to speak up. You know, some people may feel embarrassed because somebody have touched them and stuff like that. You know, Terry Ann says, these pastors are lucky in another country. They will be beat to death or burned alive. I agree. I remember watching a DVD back in the day. It probably was like 2009 or whatever. I used to get the DVDs from New York, the bootlegs when I was young. But they had DVDs where as though they would show videos of people being executed overseas. I've been seeing that even before the internet showed it. on Warstar, live leaks and stuff like that. So I already have seen stuff like that. You know what I mean? On DVDs. So they would record this stuff and put it on DVDs and sell it in New York. You know, they had one situation. I think a person had stole something, and they chopped it. They chopped his hand off. You know, you had other situations where they lined people up for crimes that they have done, and they just, you know, sprayed them with a rifle and stuff like that. So I've seen stuff like that. You know, when people commit crimes overseas, they showed that. That's what they do in some of those places over there. If you commit a crime, theft, they're going to chop your hand off. If you do a crime like this guy, they're going to chop something else off. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say the term, but you know what I'm talking about. They'll chop it off. They'll chop that off, chop your hand off, chop your fingers off. They will do something to torment you and then throw you in prison at that. You know what I'm saying? But of course, they don't do that over here in America and things like that. Sometimes people want to take it into their own hands versus law enforcement and whatnot. You know? What up, Craig Giselle? What up, Simply Behold? Hope all is well with you. You know, we're just here talking about this so-called preacher that was arrested and charged. You know what I mean? He, you know, admitted to kissing. He admitted to kissing a 12-year-old that he was given a driver's lessons to, you know, which is a sick situation like that. 68 years of age, a so-called pastor. Every week it seems like a so-called pastor, you know what I mean, committing crimes, you know, and 95% of it is what? 95% of it has something to do with something sexual with a child at that. And these so-called preachers, you know, they be married. They be having wives for so long and things like that. You know, the women probably are good to them, but they have a sick thought in their head to want to sexually molest kids. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Life with Paulette. What up? What up? Hope all is well. Terry Ann says castration, castrated. You know, and guess what? That's what they do in some places overseas. You know, they will castrate a person. You know, if you commit a crime of such caliber like this guy did, they might chop your tongue off, chop your lips off. You know what I mean? And throw you in prison and still give you prison time. You know what I'm saying? Simply Behold said that's awful, especially. Let me put it up. You said that's awful, especially when it's supposed to be a pastor, someone who claims to be of God. And you've got a lot of those people out here who claim to be of God. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them out here who claim to be of God and committing crimes like this. You know, that's why it's very thin. Very, very thin. I don't know if y'all seen a mustard seed before. It's just like that of the level of trust, you know what I'm saying, that I have for people behind the pulpit. It's just like this. You understand? Just like that. You may have one besides those under the truth of God, you know what I mean? One good minister out here that you can trust. Just one out of so many. Now, it takes time for me to trust a person in general. It takes time. You understand? But guess what? I'm not going to leave my children around a preacher, a so-called preacher. I just won't do it. You know what I'm saying? I just can't. You know what I mean? That's just me. All right? You said that's sad. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and you got a lot of kids out here who are traumatized because some creep want to take advantage of them at the end of the day. Teachers, coaches, you know. Fitzgerald says, what up, Fitzgerald? You says, what's going to happen to him? He says, what's going to happen to him now? Well, they got to go through a process, you know, court hearings and whatnot to see what his fate is and what have you. He pled not guilty. You know, now if you plead not guilty, see, the thing is he pled not guilty to something that he admitted to. I don't get it. I don't get it. You pled not guilty to something that you admitted to. You know, that just don't make no sense. You understand? That's like you being caught on camera and stuff like that, you know, and you admitted to the crime, but you plead not guilty. I don't get it. You understand? You said, yeah. Craig Giselle says, yeah, they would do something like that in the country Turkey. They don't mess around. You would get tormented, then thrown in prison. Wow. Nicole Martin says, I was a victim. Let me put that up. You says, I was a victim at 4 years of age, and he scared me saying my mom was going to beat me if I tell. So I got scared, and I never told until I turned 21. That's why I'm so overprotective with my son. Wow. Wow. Listen, and a lot of them do that. They try to instill fear, you know, in a child because they know, you know, when we're young, you understand, and an adult instills fear in us and things of that situation. You know what I mean? A lot of kids get fearful that that adult is going to do something harmful to them. You know what I mean? So that right there is a sad situation. You know? Terry Ann says, you said not guilty, so the court drags to make money. You know what? That's a good point right there. That's a good point. You know, that's what the courts is going to do. You understand? Have you ever been to court? You understand? Whether it's jury duty, you know, whether you got a traffic ticket or whatever that you got to go in front of a judge and whatnot and things of that nature, or any other matters, you know, that you was on the A side. Let me put it like that. Some of us been on the B side. You understand? Like me when I was young, got arrested, but I didn't go to jail at the age of 16. I was put in a holding cell. But I had a few court dates. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure they made so much money. I'm pretty sure. You know, so that's what they do. They stretch it out. You know what I mean? Try to prolong it because they know them dollars. They know them dollars is coming in. You understand? What up, Allison Hurd? You said the devil doesn't care who he used, Nicole. What up? Let your light shine. What up? What up? What up? I hope all is well. You know, we're just here talking about this story. All right, I'm gonna share the screen again with this so-called preacher. All right. So, with this guy is a sad situation. You know that he basically is trying to play the victim here. You know, when he said he was pursued, he said I was the pursued. You know, meaning in other words that he's stating that he was the victim. You know, I just don't get that. What grown man, right? What grown man, you know what I mean, will feel threatened by a 12-year-old girl? You understand? What 68-year-old man, grown man, will give in to a 12-year-old girl? You understand? So I'm pretty sure that judge, those prosecutors, they ain't gonna buy that. They ain't gonna buy that at all. You understand? So furthermore, you know, we're just summarizing the story in general. You know, so he stated also that a lot of people will be hurt. Now, when you commit a crime and things like that, now I ain't with all this fun boy stuff that this so-called preacher is doing. But when you commit a crime, you know what I mean? You got to man up to something like that, especially when you admit to it. You know, you can't go and say it's going to hurt the people and whatnot. You did it. You know what I'm saying? You did it. Don't feel sorry now. You know what I'm saying? You was so caught up in the moment. You know, you touched on that little girl and you gave in to a kiss or you kissed her. You know what I mean? Don't feel sorry now. Don't try to say all these good things to get people on your side and whatnot and things of that nature. You know how these so-called Christians be. You know what I'm saying? Oh, keep him up in spirits, keep him up in prayer. You know what I'm saying? The devil would never prevail, you know. But is this man in front of the church publicly apologizing? You understand? For his actions towards a 12-year-old. You know what I mean? A lot of these so-called preachers, they want to do things behind the scenes, right? They want to do it behind the scenes, but when they get caught, you know what I'm saying? Do they go in front of the people to apologize to the people? You know what I mean? Do they seek repentance publicly? You know what I mean? Because it's going to get out publicly. And you gotta clean yourself up. Of course, repentance-wise, you know, whether you try to clean yourself up with the people out here, people is still going to try to pull you down. Even if you change your ways. On a situation like that, you know, a lot of people out here, especially in these days, they ain't gonna forgive you. You know what I mean? They ain't gonna forgive you. They ain't gonna forget nothing at the end of the day. All right. Isn't this considered blasphemy? He says, isn't this considered blasphemy? The pastor was playing both sides. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And a lot of those so-called preachers, a lot of them, you know, they're in the pulpit, right? They right in the pulpit, so-called preaching to the people, but yet they're doing these things behind the scenes. You know, so do when they preach and teach and they doing this stuff behind the scenes, is it edifying the people when they speak? You know, because let's just say these so-called preachers molesting all kids out here. I've done stories like that, you know. They read the scriptures, they go in front of a congregation to preach that word, but just last night you was touching on that little kid. You understand that? So would that day of him preaching be considered edifying the people? You know what I'm saying? You got to look back at that. You got to really look back at a lot of these so-called preachers. You understand? When they so-called preaching and teaching the people, does it matter? Does it count now? Being that you was behind the scenes molesting those kids, you had a wicked spirit of molesting kids within yourself. You know what I mean? Being a deceiver to the people. You know what I'm saying? We can't trust you no more. You know what I mean? It's going to be hard to trust, especially if people are in a so-called church like that and their pastor gets arrested for something like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who it is who commit a crime like that. You know what I mean? I will expose them on here. You know what I mean? Especially if there's valid proof and it's stamped and validated that the story is true. Oh, yeah. Listen, we're going to expose them on here. Whether it's this channel or the other channel, we definitely going to expose them on here. All right? Craig Giselle says he was pursued. What a bunch of crap. Oh, man, you funny. All right? Okay, what McCoburn says, and plus, after my son's father left me to marry someone else 4 years ago, I stayed by myself, just me and my son, because it's to protect my son. That's a key factor as a parent. That's a key factor as a parent for sure. Protect your kids. Protect your kids. You know, listen, I'm overprotective myself. When the kids are in school and whatnot, of course, I'm thinking about them. Like, I want to be in their classrooms. I want to be in there. You know what I mean? That's how much of a protective father that I am. But I do know they're going to get older and whatnot and stuff like that. But that's just me. You know, when they get off the bus, when they get off the school bus and stuff like that, I want to be there. Sometimes it's hard due to work and whatnot, but I want to be there. That's just me. You know what I mean? If they happen to go to like football practice or sports, track and field, any type of practice, I want to be there. before school programs, after school programs, recreation, the PAL, the Boys and Girls Club. I would like to be there. You know what I mean? But most of the times, work comes into play. You know what I'm saying? All right. What up, finally aware of you? Okay, we have a troll. Goodbye. You know what I'm saying? We ain't dealing with those trolls on here. You know, we got professional people and things like that that come and look at these channels and whatnot. So I'm learning not to respond to trolls in general. You know what I'm saying? We're just going to keep it going with the truth and things like that. I don't have no moderators on here yet, but I'm working on it. You know what I'm saying? But for now on, I'm going to try my best to block these trolls. You know what I'm saying? They're coming with different names and all this other nonsense and things like that. But, you know, our job here is to have a platform, you know what I'm saying, to expose these so-called preachers and whatnot, like this fellow Stephen McCurtis and things like that, you know. So it's a crazy situation. You understand? Craig says, unless it's your own family, a general rule of thumb is not to let your kids around adults solely unless you're certain, or if there are several adults. Man, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely, for sure. Listen, I wanted to put like cameras and tracking devices on my kids and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? But I don't let my kids go spend a night nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's like a real emergency and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And I got no choice. You know, in general, then hey. But please believe, I'm gonna be calling. Are y'all okay? What y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? Anybody bothering you? XYZ. Did you eat? You know what I'm saying? That's me. All right. Nicole Martin says, I've been single with my son for 4 years and I'm content and I don't need no crazy man. The Holy Ghost has been keeping me. For sure. You know. All right. So this so-called preacher, man, we're gonna share the screen again. Just give me a second, right quick. All right. So I'm gonna go back to that part when he said he admitted. All right. I don't know if y'all can see it. So it's right there. Stephen McCurtis, 68, admitted. He admitted. How do you have the interest in kissing a 12-year-old girl on her mouth? You understand? Listen, I don't even like to see when parents kiss on a kid's mouth after a certain age. You know what I'm saying? That just makes me cringe at times. Although it's their children and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day. You know what I mean? He says, God is definitely keeping me strong, and I'm definitely over that because God in his hands on me while going through things. Wow. You know, that's very important. You understand? When you're going through situations and whatnot, you know, I know a lot of people came to me about similar situations like this, you know, and they dealing with the trauma. You know what I mean? Ever since they was a youth. You know what I mean? They dealing with the trauma, even at the age of in their 30s or 40s. You understand? Another YouTuber, you know, kind of popular and whatnot. You know, I'm not going to say his name or whatever the case may be. He's popular. He's from New York. And there was this so-called hip hop artist, you know, that he stated that was, you know, molesting him. You know what I'm saying? And he never brought it forward to the authorities because he's some type of, you know, so-called street guy and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Now it seems that he's traumatized. He still speaks on it, of him being traumatized about it. He has a spouse and things like that. You know what I mean? And it bothers him even in his situation, you know what I'm saying, as a husband. You know, so if it's the beginning stages, or if any adult gives any type of interest to a kid, you know, and listen, this is what I teach my kids. Is anybody bothering you? Is anybody touching you and stuff like that? Nobody's supposed to touch you in such a way, or touch you in a certain area at all, you know, but mommy, daddy, and grandma and stuff like that, you know, or the doctor in reference to checking you, an injury, or washing you up and stuff like that. Other than that, after a certain age, no. You know what I'm saying? So Craig says, yeah, that's strange always with the kissing after a certain age on the mouth and stuff. Absolutely. Nicole Martin says, even the devil transformed himself into an angel of light. So everything that glitters is not gold. Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely be careful, because they may come off like they so holy, you know, every Sunday or Thursday night, Tuesday nights, or whatever day they have service, you know, or church outings and whatnot. You know, they dress nice, they have their Bible, they quoting scriptures, they quoting John 3:16. You know what I'm saying? They quoting Romans 6:1. You know, they quoting the prayer from Matthew chapter 6, verses 9 through 13. They quoting all the scriptures. They breaking it down. You know what I mean? From Genesis to Revelation. You know, some even know they're apocrypha from back to front, and other books out there. You know what I mean? They come off. But that's just a deception at the end of the day. They know they can reel somebody in by deception of knowing the scriptures, of dressing a certain way, looking a certain way. You know what I mean? Because if a pedophile comes to a person in a pedophile way, meaning if they make it obvious that they're a pedophile, you know what I'm saying? They would give themselves away. But if they could dress it up, which is though they do, that's how they get a lot of those people out there and trick them and deceive them at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? All right. Terry Ann says he made the job easy for the cops. Absolutely. He sure did at the end of the day. All right, we're gonna see if we can find some more articles on this guy right quick before we close it out. Before we close it out, we're gonna see if we can find any more stories on this guy right quick. Just looking them up right fast and things like that. All right. Bear with me right quick. I don't really see any more stories too much on them. The story just came out. So more articles might come out later on. The story just came out, you know. So before we conclude, we're about to conclude in general. I'd like to thank everybody for coming to this YouTube channel, Tony Harvin Network, the second YouTube channel of mine. My third YouTube channel is Tony Harvin TV, with the Truth of God videos on there. So if you haven't subscribed to that channel, go to it, Tony Harvin TV, with nothing but the Truth of God messages and whatnot. I thank everybody for coming on here, tuning in to the story about the so-called preacher, Stephen McCurtis, 68 years of age, out of Bakersville, California, who was charged and arrested for kissing on and touching on a 12-year-old girl. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure, you know, some more stories is going to come out on more so-called preachers out there, more so-called teachers out there, coaches, people in leadership, you know what I'm saying, who abuse their authority, you know what I mean, just to try to fulfill their wicked agenda and whatnot. So I hope everybody have a wonderful evening. You know what I mean? God bless to everybody out there for sure. If you are a new person listening to this live, you know, if you like, I don't beg for subscribers. If you like, hit the subscribe button, share the videos and whatnot, hit that notification bell. If you would like to receive more notifications upon videos that come out on this YouTube channel and whatnot. Be on the lookout for more biblical discussion throwbacks. You know, the biblical discussion, I know a lot of people didn't catch the biblical discussions from the beginning, way in the beginning. So I'm putting them out on this channel. You know what I'm saying? So those who like viewing those biblical discussions, who don't know how to go back into the archives and look at it from episode 2, I believe, to about, we got 93, I think, so far. So I thank everybody for tuning in general. All right. Hope everybody have a wonderful night. You might catch me on my other YouTube channel, Tony Harvin, the primary YouTube channel. I don't know. I might go on. I'm thinking about it for sure. All right. May you all have a blessed day. I'm Tony Harvin. I'm signing off. All right. I'm out. Peace.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Tony Harvin, and welcome to the Tony Harvin Network YouTube channel. If you like, hit that subscribe button listed right here. After you hit the subscribe button, if you want to receive all notifications of videos that come out on this YouTube channel, hit the notification bell and select all after you hit the notification bell.